Hi everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader and this is my July wrap-up. So I will be sharing with you guys the 4 books that I actually finished in the month of July and also the shows that I saw on Broadway in New York, which, I want to talk about these shows because going to New York and seeing all these shows on Broadway is kind of the reason why I didn't really read that much in July because I did spend 1 week in New York, and so therefore I was not able to read as much as I would have liked to, but still I managed to read 4 very interesting books. So I will start with the books, and this time they are all novels. So the first novel that I completed in the month of July was Less by Andrew Sean Greer. I have already mentioned this in some previous videos. I loved this book. I thought it was outstanding. I think it's seemingly very simple, but in reality it is quite complex, and the way that it plays with certain ideas, for example, with certain stereotypes surrounding homosexuality in men, I think was really interesting and very cleverly done. What I loved the most about this book, and the reason why I would absolutely recommend this, was the character himself, the protagonist. Arthur Less is a wonderful character, and I think that is one of the shining, crowning jewels of this piece of fiction. Also, I think the writing style is really fresh and really cool and feels alive and vibrant and very beautiful in its own particular way. It's very simple and it's very similar to the way that people talk in real life, but it definitely has a literary quality and a literary merit, and it certainly has a lot of literary merit. This was the winner of the Pulitzer Prize this year in 2018. And yeah, overall, I just really loved it, and this is the first thing that I've read by this author, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. One of my favorite novels of the year, 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished was If on a Winter's Night, A Traveler by Italo Calvino, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Mainly, what I loved about this book, and I really did love it, was the concept, the premise, the playfulness of the writing, and the balls that the author had. I mean, he really had a big pair. I'm really graphic, but I thought he was very courageous writing this weird, quirky, whimsical, experimental piece of fiction that plays in a very weird way with the philosophical aspects of reading. That being said, I gave it 3 stars and not higher because I admired it and appreciated it more than I enjoyed it. So yeah, I did not find the actual execution of the stories in here, or the main story or the stories in here, very compelling or interesting. So I gave it 3 stars, but it's an interesting book for sure. The next book that I read was James Patterson's Invisible. This was conceived by James Patterson but executed by David Ellis. I have also mentioned this in a previous video, and yeah, this is the worst book that you can possibly imagine. I gave it 1 star just because Goodreads and, societal conventions forced me to give at least 1 star to it. But in reality, this doesn't deserve any stars whatsoever. This is pure garbage. So yeah, it doesn't even deserve really a lot of talking about it. There's just no reason why we should bother talking about that. But then, good news, I read The Little Friend by Donna Tartt, and I have just posted a separate really in-depth book review. So if you are at all interested in Donna Tartt and in this bastard child of Donna Tartt, I urge you to go and check out my review. It is a very long review. It is 45 minutes long, but you can just watch the first 5 or 10 minutes. That's the literary part of the review, and then the rest of the review is a very in-depth, very profound psychodynamic approach or psychoanalytical exploration of the book. So this book is a book that I was completely blown away by. I was really surprised. I was already expecting not to like it. So this book has a lot of very negative hype, and so I came into it almost half expecting to be disappointed and let down. And I think my biggest piece of advice for you, if you are interested in Donna Tartt, or if you have read any of Donna Tartt's novels and you are wondering if you might want to read this particular novel by her, my biggest piece of advice for you is yes, you absolutely should read this book. It is a novel with a capital N. It's a novel. It's one of those novels that when you read it, you feel like you're reading a classic in the making. The characters, the writing, everything is so rich and lush and beautiful and grandiose, and literary. However, if you do decide to pick this book up, and I really think that you should keep in mind that this book is sold or is marketed, or at least it sounds like a murder mystery, like a kind of mystery novel, and therefore you might want to get some answers that this book is not going to give you. So if you come into this book expecting to get answers and to get a resolution and a sense of payoff that you would get from a regular mystery novel, then you will hate this book and you will feel cheated and betrayed, and you will be very frustrated. However, if you decide to pick this book up with an open mind, with no expectations of that kind, and you just savor the literary quality and the literary themes and the different things that this book has to offer, you will probably enjoy it, and you might even love it as much as I did. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So now, moving on to Broadway. Broadway! I spent a week in Broadway, well, not on Broadway, in New York, and I spent most of my time either in a bookstore, in several different bookstores, or at the theater. That's what I do. That's what I love. Books and Broadway. So books and musicals. That's my thing. So I saw a total of 6 musicals on Broadway. That's a lot to see in a week. And I will go over them in the order in which I saw them, and I will even give you a kind of star rating following my same criteria that I use for books. So let's get this over and done with quickly, because I don't want to ramble on for ages. The first musical that I saw on Broadway was Dear Evan Hansen, which is a very hyped musical. The music is beautiful. It's a wonderfully beautiful and singable score by Pasek and Paul, who also wrote La La Land, one of my favorite movies. So I loved Dear Evan Hansen. The tickets were incredibly expensive. I think it's the most that I have ever paid for anything in terms of theater in my life. They were crazy, 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 crazy expensive. Do I regret it? Do I look like I regret it? No, I sat on like the 3rd or 4th row. I basically lived the experience right there on stage along the characters. So this is a show that is very tender and very heartfelt, very emotional, and that's what I really took away from this particular show. Even though I love the musical aspect, the singing is beautiful and the acting is beautiful, but it really hit me emotionally, particularly the mothers. If you know the story of Evan Hansen at all, of Dear Evan Hansen at all, we have this very interesting conflictive kind of dynamic between these two families, and the mothers have a really big role in the story. And there's a point towards the ending of the show in which Evan's mother just broke me, and I was a mess. I was a complete mess. So I really loved this show, and I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Really, really great musical. It reminded me a little bit of Next to Normal, which is another show that has beautiful music, a very cool score, but it just hits you emotionally. Then the second show that I saw I'm just gonna say it right away. It's the most amazing theatrical experience that I have ever experienced in my life. That sounded weird. I think I said something. I think I repeated the word experience there. But this was just mind-blowingly good. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd. This was just perfect. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 5. This was just wow. If you are in New York, if you are going to New York, if you have any chance whatsoever to catch this production of Sweeney Todd at the Barrow Street Theater in downtown Manhattan at the Greenwich Village, do not miss this opportunity. That's all I'm gonna say. This is the best thing that I've ever seen. It's the most beautiful musical that I have experienced. It was an experience. It was immersive. One of the coolest moments of my entire life has been during the Epiphany, when Sweeney Todd decides he's going to become this murderous beast and start slitting the throats of his customers. He has this beautiful, crazy, derailed song called Epiphany, and he jumped from his kind of stage onto the table that I was sitting in, because this production is the public is sitting, the audience is sitting in this kind of tables, and so he jumped onto the table that I was sitting at, and he actually used me as a prop, like I was a customer, and he slit my throat, and that's just priceless. So yeah, Sweeney Todd, absolutely the best thing ever. It is the best musical, the best score, the best acting, the best immersive experience, Sondheim's masterpiece, just wonderful. I'm so excited talking about Sweeney Todd. It's just wow. The next show that I saw was a jewel, just a complete jewel. And I would also give this 5 out of 5 stars, even though it is not as perfect or as excellent as Sweeney Todd was. My Fair Lady. I could have danced all night, I could have danced all night, and still have begged for more. And I really still could have begged for more, My Fair Lady. This was a spectacle. This is the actual playbill from the Vivian Beaumont Theater at Lincoln Center, but they also give you this beautiful, beautiful program. So My Fair Lady, beautiful, lush production. It's a spectacle. I have never been so wowed by a set. The set design is incredible. Basically, Bartlett Sher, who directed this production of My Fair Lady, decided, why not? He decided to actually have a house on stage. That's the set. It's a house, like a real model of a real house. It's incredible. It just pops into, right in front of you, and the house is like a big doll house, and you can see what's going on inside the house, and it starts moving in this kind of turntable, and it's wonderful. It is a wonderful, wonderful production. I am so glad that I was able to see this. the music is wonderful. The orchestra plays this score masterfully, and the acting I thought was particularly strong. Particularly Lauren Ambrose, who plays Eliza Doolittle. She was incredibly wonderful in the acting, but also in the singing part. Also, Harry Haddon Payton, who plays Henry Higgins. Just you white, Henry Higgins, just you white. He was wonderful as well. Beautiful, beautiful actor. And I also want to shout out Jordan Donica. He plays Freddie Einsford Hill, and he sang the fuck out of On the Street Where You Live, which is one of my favorite songs. It's a song that I've been singing since I learned how to speak. And yeah, he sang that song On the Street Where You Live, and I was destroyed. He did a wonderful job. My Fair Lady, 5 out of 5 stars. The next show that I saw was Carousel, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel, and I actually got my playbill signed by Jesse Mueller, Renee Fleming, Lindsay Mendez, etc. Several members of the cast, Tony nominees. Actually, Lindsay Mendez actually won the Tony for this. This show is splendid. I think this might be one of my favorite scores from any musical. Rodgers and Hammerstein really really bring a wonderful score to life here. And my favorite part of this production was listening to this gorgeous, gorgeous music being performed by these amazing singers and actors and this wonderful orchestra. I did find some problems with the production, with this particular production, with the design, with the direction, but I still loved this show. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because, like I said, I did find some little quibbles with the directing and certain choices that they took. But yeah, this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And the music, if you have never listened to the cast recording or to the music of Carousel, please go ahead and do it. It's the most beautiful musical in terms of the score. Then the next show that I saw after that, I actually don't have a playbill because I left it at the theater, but that was Anastasia. I would give Anastasia a 3 out of 5. I really liked it, and I actually really enjoyed that they went for a more accurate or historical version of the story instead of going for the the typical animated cartoon movie version with Rasputin and Bartok and the magical, fantastical side of that version of Anastasia. This particular production is very historical. It feels more serious. It feels more adult, and I really appreciated it for it. I am giving it 3 stars because I felt like the first act was much stronger than the second one. And also I think the show kind of falls apart a little bit in terms of the villain. There's not a sense of suspense or you never feel that kind of thing that you felt in the animated movie. With Rasputin, there was this sense of terror and this sense of being prosecuted, I guess. And yeah, I just felt that the show was beautiful and wonderful and historically, more adult, but I did feel like it was lacking a little bit on the excitement. That being said, the musical is beautiful. It's by Ahrens and Flaherty. The score is gorgeous. The orchestra played it beautifully. And the actors that I saw were wonderful versions of these characters. I actually saw Christy Altomore, who is the original Anastasia. I saw Zach Adkins as Dimitri. He has the most perfect, beautiful tenor voice, and he sings My Petersburg, which is this amazing song, wonderfully well. So yeah, loved Anastasia. It wasn't my favorite. And then the last show that I saw was Hello Dolly at the Schubert Theater. This was just fun. It was just crazy fun. It's definitely a show that has its issues. It has its plot holes. It has its inconsistencies, and it's just silly, but it's wonderful. It's exactly the kind of light, fluffy, wonderful fun that you are looking for when you're going to see Hello Dolly. Something really important is that I actually saw Bernadette Peters' last performance, and I think that was what I enjoyed the most because Bernadette Peters is pretty much like Madonna. She's like the Madonna of the Broadway stage. She is pretty much one of the divas that are still alive. She's like on the same level as Bette Midler or Barbara Streisand or Patti LuPone. You know, Bernadette Peters is 70 years old and she's playing, well, was playing Hello Dolly. She has a magnetic, charismatic stage presence. She is so funny. And she was so full of vitality and life. I could not believe that this woman was older than 50. I mean, she looks 50 and or even younger than 50, and she is 70 years old. Watching her in this particular last performance of Hello Dolly was incredible. I mean, I barely sat on my seat at the theater. We gave her a standing ovation pretty much the entire run of the show, the entire show. Every single time that she came on stage, people just stood up and started clapping like crazy. I've never seen this kind of magnetic excitement in a Broadway house. It was something that I will always remember. So I would give Hello Dolly maybe like a 3.5 out of 5. The story, the plot, and all of that is a little bit ridiculous, but who cares? This is Hello Dolly. And yeah, it's just fun and it's beautiful. It's just what it is. So guys, that's what I read and the Broadway shows that I saw in the month of July. I would love to hear your thoughts on these books or these shows, and also let me know in the comments down below, what did you do in July? What did you read? Did you watch any movies or did you see any plays or musicals? Let me know and we will talk about it. I am Just One Reader. Thanks for watching and I will see you on the next video.